Hello everyone, today I'll continue sharing with you the love story of the single mother Tuna and CEO Alex. Wishing you an enjoyable time watching this video. After weeks of being consumed by work, Alex finally managed to resolve the company's crisis. The heavy weight on his shoulders was lifted, yet in his heart there was only one thought: to see Tuna and Henry again. That late afternoon, Alex drove out of the city, passing through fields still wet after the rain. The road leading back to the familiar little farm made his heart tighten, a mix of excitement and nervousness. He wasn't sure how Tuna would receive him, but he still wanted to come, just to see that mother and child were safe. The wooden gate creaked open. On the porch, Tuna was lulling Henry to sleep. When she saw Alex, she froze for a moment, her eyes filled with surprise and caution. He smiled, walking slowly toward her, careful not to make the air too tense. "I'm just dropping by for a while," Alex said softly. "I just wanted to see if you and the baby are doing well." At that moment, Henry opened his eyes. When he saw his father's figure, he burst into giggles. Alex reached out, gently taking his son into his arms. The boy chirped happily, and Alex's face lit up. The exhaustion of the past few weeks seemed to vanish instantly. Tuna stood quietly nearby, not saying much. She watched father and son, the corners of her lips betraying a faint smile. Inside her, emotions swirled, warmth and confusion mingled together. Alex placed Henry back into his mother's arms, then said slowly, "Seeing you both safe like this, I feel at ease. I won't bother you any longer. Tomorrow I need to return to the city." Tuna nodded slightly, her eyes carrying something unspoken. Alex understood, so he didn't press. He simply bowed his head, then turned away, his steps reluctant. As evening fell, his figure disappeared down the dirt road. On the porch, Tuna cradled Henry, listening to the child's laughter drifting into the wind. In her heart, a question quietly blossomed: could this be just the beginning of something undefined, yet full of hope? That night, after leaving the farm, Alex returned to his familiar apartment in the city. The space felt unusually still. The sound of traffic outside faded away, leaving only silence pressing against the four walls. He set his briefcase down on the chair and slowly walked toward the wooden table in the living room. The room, once luxurious and fully furnished, now felt empty and cold, as if it had lost the breath of life. Alex pulled open a small drawer. Inside lay an old blue velvet box he had kept for so long, never daring to open it in front of Tuna. His hand trembled slightly as he picked it up, afraid that this moment might awaken the deepest fears in his heart. The lid clicked open, and under the soft glow of the warm lamp, a silver ring glimmered quietly. Alex stared at it for a long time. Images of Tuna from that afternoon returned vividly, her slender figure holding Henry, her eyes tinged with hesitation, yet when the boy laughed, the corners of her lips trembled into a tender smile. That vision made his heart ache, with both joy and longing. He sighed softly, fingers tightening around the box as though he was holding the future he longed for. "I can't let you wait any longer," Alex whispered, his voice breaking, heavy with emotion yet filled with resolve. "Next time I see you, I'll say it all. I'll propose to you, and this time I won't let you down." With that, he gently placed the box back on the table, though his eyes lingered on it. Inside him, an unspoken vow was firmly sealed: no matter how many trials, no matter how many storms, he would never let Tuna and Henry doubt their place in his life again. He sat in silence for a while, weary eyes drifting toward the window. The city still blazed with lights, the endless stream of cars roaring past, restless yet meaningless. In that room, Alex realized he had only one path: the road back to Tuna and Henry. To him, the coming proposal was not just a ritual, it was the mark of a new beginning, the promise of the home he had long yearned for. A faint smile brushed across his lips. Alex closed his eyes, hearing his heartbeat pound fast inside his chest. He knew with certainty that when dawn came, he would move forward again, and that step would lead him back to Tuna and Henry, with a promise that could no longer be delayed. The next morning, sunlight streamed across the vegetable rows still jeweled with dewdrops, the earth carrying the faint scent of damp soil after the night's rain. A small car stopped at the wooden gate of the farm, its engine fading into the quiet of the peaceful scene. On the porch, Tuna was holding Henry, gently rocking the cradle to lull him to sleep. When she recognized the woman stepping out of the car, her heart tightened. It was Alex's sister. For a moment, awkwardness surged, for the scars of harsh words from the past still lingered. Alex's sister approached, her steps calm, her gaze no longer sharp and cold as before. In her hands was a basket of fresh fruit, which she placed respectfully on the wooden table outside the porch. Her voice rose slowly, with a slight tremor, as though carrying something long buried. Tuna. I didn't come today to scold you. I came to apologize, for the words I once said that hurt you. The air stilled. Tuna froze for a moment, hugging Henry closer as if to seek an anchor. The child wriggled, his tiny hand reaching toward the unfamiliar guest, unintentionally breaking the heavy silence. A faint smile touched Tuna's lips. She looked down to soothe her son, then raised her head, her voice soft yet sincere. I know, you were only worried about Alex. I don't blame you. But I was hurt. Very much so. The older woman's eyes flickered with regret. She nodded, sighing deeply. I know. That's why I had to come today. I want to tell you, you've returned, you're here with Alex and Henry, and that's what matters most. I hope we can start again, with understanding and respect. Another pause followed, but this time it wasn't heavy. The morning breeze swept through the porch, carrying the scent of straw and the clucking of hens. Henry laughed in his mother's arms, as if affirming that everything could indeed be soothed. Tuna looked at Henry, then lifted her gaze to meet Alex's sister. She nodded slowly. Yes. I hope so too. The woman's expression softened, her eyes brightened with relief. She pulled up a chair, pouring herself a cup of hot tea that Tuna had just brewed. Amid the rising steam, the two women sat across from each other, not as adversaries, but as though rediscovering a bond once lost. The atmosphere gradually warmed. They began chatting about small things. How many pomelos the backyard tree had borne this year, whether the fish pond was ready for harvest, or how many baby teeth Henry had grown lately. Each story, each small smile, was like a thread patiently stitching back the torn fabric of the past. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, shining down on the porch where two women and a little child sat. No flowery words were needed, just a nod and a smile were enough to close the distance. And in this peaceful farm, the hope for a complete home quietly began to bloom, subtle, yet steadfast. That evening, the moon hung high, casting its gentle light across the farm. The night was still, filled only with the chirping of insects and the whisper of the wind through the trees. Inside the small kitchen, Tuna was tidying the dinner table while soothing Henry to sleep. She didn't know that, at that very moment, Alex had stepped through the gate, carrying with him a decision he had long held in his heart. The sound of familiar footsteps echoed on the old brick floor. Tuna looked up, startled. Why did you come back so suddenly? Why didn't you tell me first? Alex smiled, his eyes shining with steady resolve. He stepped closer and gently took her hand. Because if I had told you, I might have hesitated again. I need to say this tonight. Tuna's heart trembled. In Alex's eyes, she saw something different, determination, no longer wavering. When Alex pulled out the small velvet box, her whole body froze. The dim glow of the oil lamp reflected off the silver ring inside, gleaming like it held all his hopes. Alex knelt down, his voice trembling yet filled with urgency. "Tuna. I've been through days when I thought I'd lost everything. But in those moments, I realized what I feared losing most wasn't the company, wasn't my reputation, it was you and Henry. I don't want you to be alone. I don't want you and our child to keep waiting. Please, give me the chance to protect you, to bring happiness to you both, for life. Will you marry me?" Tuna stood frozen, her heart in turmoil. Memories rushed back, nights spent cradling her son alone, the silent tears, the wounds left by Alex's absence. She stepped back slightly, her voice trembling. I'm so afraid, Alex. Afraid that one day you'll leave again, and I'll be left to face everything alone. I don't know if I'm strong enough to bear it once more." Hearing this, Alex gripped her hand firmly, his eyes burning with sincerity. I know how deeply I've hurt you. But I swear, this time will be different. I'll never let you shoulder everything alone again. Everything I do, every effort, is to give you and Henry a safe home. Please, just trust me once more." His voice shook, but each word was like a vow etched in stone. He pressed her hand against his chest, where his heartbeat pounded strongly. "Do you feel it? Every beat is for you. If you say yes, I'll turn this promise into my whole life." Tuna's eyes brimmed with tears, her lashes trembling. She wanted to resist the weakness rising inside her, but looking at Alex kneeling before her, seeing the unwavering resolve in his eyes, the wall of doubt in her heart began to crack. A fragile smile appeared on her lips. She whispered, "If you dare promise never to leave me alone again, then I'll say yes." In an instant, Alex's face lit up. He carefully slid the ring onto her finger, sealing his vow. From the bedroom, Henry stirred and let out a soft cry. The two of them laughed together, tears mingling with smiles. Alex squeezed Tuna's hand and murmured, "See? Even our son wants to witness our promise." Outside, the moonlight flooded the garden, carrying with it the faint fragrance of pomelo blossoms. Inside the small home, there were no roses, no grand altar, but there was an eternal vow, woven from love and a trust that had just been mended. And from that moment on, their true home had begun. The next morning, the first rays of sunlight slipped through the cracks of the door, scattering pale golden streaks across the worn brick floor. Roosters crowed energetically from the backyard, sparrows chirped from branch to branch, all weaving together a refreshing, peaceful atmosphere. The faint smoke from the kitchen mixed with the aroma of fried eggs drifting through the yard, reminding Tuna of mornings long past with her family. In the kitchen, Alex had risen early. His shirt tucked neatly, sleeves rolled high, he awkwardly flipped eggs in the pan. Oil sputtered, but a patient smile lingered on his lips. When he saw Tuna carrying Henry in, he turned slightly. Sweat beaded his forehead, his eyes glowing with both shyness and pride. "Since when did you know how to cook?" Tuna asked softly, half curious, half teasing. Alex chuckled, his voice tinged with humor. "Honestly, I only know a few simple dishes. But this morning, I wanted you to rest. This is our first family breakfast. Hearing his father's voice, Henry giggled, his tiny hands tapping against his mother's shoulder as if to cheer in agreement. A smile flickered across Tuna's lips. The awkwardness of the previous night seemed to fade, replaced by a gentle warmth seeping into her heart. She set the baby down on a small chair and helped Alex with the bowls and chopsticks, her movements as natural as if she had done this countless times before. Soon, the table was set, a small bowl of porridge for Henry, a plate of golden fried eggs, freshly boiled greens still glistening with steam, and a small pot of soup sending up fragrant swirls. Nothing fancy, nothing lavish, yet the simple flavors filled the little house with a rare sense of coziness. "Sit down, let me serve you." Alex pulled out a chair for Tuna, his voice gentle, his eyes brimming with care. She hesitated briefly, then nodded. Taking up her chopsticks, Tuna tasted a piece of egg. The rich, simple flavor spread across her tongue. Her eyes lit up, and the corners of her lips curved into a soft smile. "Delicious, truly delicious." Alex laughed heartily, his smile radiant with pride, as though he had just been praised for the finest dish in the world. Henry babbled a few sounds, his tiny hands waving excitedly in the air, making both parents burst into laughter. The sound of their laughter, mingled with the clinking of bowls and chopsticks, filled the small kitchen, dissolving the distance that had once existed between them. As Tuna busied herself spooning porridge into her son's mouth, Alex quietly observed. His eyes never left the mother and child, his gaze deep and unwavering, carrying both affection and determination. When the meal drew to a close, he slowly set his chopsticks down, his eyes meeting Tuna's. He said nothing, yet within that gaze she could feel the unspoken promise, this is what he wished to keep forever. Outside, the morning sun grew brighter, casting its glow over the dew-soaked garden. A new beginning quietly took shape, simple, serene, but brimming with hope. After the simple but warm breakfast, Tuna carried Henry out to the porch, letting him lie under the morning sun. The pale golden light filtered through the grapefruit leaves, scattering shimmering patches across the bamboo mat. Henry babbled softly, his tiny hands waving, his bright eyes sparkling as if they wanted to touch the endless blue sky. Alex stepped out, holding a hoe he hadn't touched in a long time. He glanced around the yard, weeds had grown thick, the chicken coop sagged, and the vegetable beds were still soaked from yesterday's rain. Turning to Tuna, he smiled. "Today, let me be the apprentice farmer. You just give the orders." Tuna chuckled softly, shaking her head. "Don't tell me you'll be complaining about back pain after just a few swings. And if I do, you'll massage it for me, won't you?" Alex teased, his eyes glinting mischievously. She blushed, not answering, lowering her head to adjust the shade over Henry. Yet her lips curved into a faint smile, betraying a small joy she couldn't hide. Alex set to work. The hoe struck the earth in steady rhythm, clearing away clumps of weeds to reveal soft brown soil beneath the morning light. Tuna stood nearby, broom in hand, occasionally glancing up at him. The sight of Alex, once only accustomed to office desks and endless reports, now drenched in sweat, his shirt clinging to his back, yet working patiently with each movement, stirred something tender in her heart. After a while, Alex put down the hoe and walked toward the chicken coop. Opening a sack of feed, he scattered it on the ground. Chicks gathered eagerly, wings flapping, filling the air with lively sounds. From a distance, Tuna watched, a wave of familiarity mingled with freshness rising inside her. It had been so long since this house last echoed with the clucking of chickens, the sound of laughter, the footsteps of the man she once loved. "Come here, look," Alex called. "I think the hen has laid an egg." Tuna stepped closer, crouching beside him, gently lifting an egg still clinging with a few strands of dry straw. From across the yard, Henry babbled loudly, kicking his little feet on the mat as if trying to join in. Both of them laughed, their eyes meeting by chance, then quickly looking away, though their hearts beat in the same rhythm. By noon, they made their way to the fish pond. Alex scooped handfuls of feed and tossed them into the water. Ripples spread outward as silver fish darted up, creating glimmering circles on the surface. Standing beside him, Tuna brushed strands of hair from her face, lifted by the breeze, and murmured, "See, they've grown so fast." Alex looked at her, his voice low and warm. "Not just the fish. This place, you, and Henry, all of it makes me realize how much I've missed. I want to make it up to you, no matter the cost." The words were simple, without embellishment, yet they made Tuna lower her head, her heart trembling softly. She didn't reply, only walked toward the vegetable beds, hiding the blush that had crept across her face. As the afternoon sun turned golden, they sat together on the porch, each holding a cup of hot tea. Henry slept soundly in his bamboo cradle, his steady breathing like a gentle lullaby. They didn't say much, but the silence was no longer distant, it was a calm pause, where two souls had found each other again after so many storms. Alex turned slightly, clasping Tuna's hand, his voice quiet but resolute. "From today on, let's take care of this place together. You don't have to carry it all alone anymore." Tuna froze. For the first time in years, she felt that his words weren't just fleeting promises, but a conviction. A belief quietly taking root, strong and steady, like the very land they were tending side by side.
Chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người những câu chuyện tình yêu. Hôm nay thì cái sức khỏe của mình nó hơi có chút vấn đề, nhưng mà mình vẫn đang rất là cố gắng để có thể lên video cho mọi người xem. Mình hy vọng rằng là mọi người sẽ đón xem và ủng hộ cho video của mình xem được nhiều hơn. Và mọi người ơi, nếu như mọi người yêu quý kênh mình cũng như là yêu quý các nhân vật như Lý Tử Diệp, CEO James hoặc CEO Alex hoặc là Lý Tử Na, thì mọi người hãy ấn theo dõi kênh mọi người nhé. Sau đó thì mọi người hãy bật chuông thông báo lên, để khi mà kênh mình ra bất kỳ video nào mới thì sẽ có thông báo đến cho mọi người. Thì khi đấy mọi người có thể xem video một cách sớm nhất có thể. Và mình hy vọng rằng các video trên sẽ được mọi người yêu thương và ủng hộ nhiều hơn, cũng như là sẽ like video và để lại bình luận cũng như chia sẻ video nha mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người.